Hello, Facebook. Excuse me. Well, let's all get on live, hop on, because it's time to get cooking. We're going to make some delicious fall foods because there's crispness in the air in Minnesota. It's like 50 some degrees here, so it's a little chilly today. And it's time to pull out the flannel. It's time to pull out the pumpkin. Time to get that pumpkin spice and get cooking. So I'm just going to get the video up for our recipe page so you all can join in, because we can't miss chili recipes. Chili and all the yummy stuff. And I'm letting you in early on this chili recipe because this is from my Volume 8 cookbook. The brand new one that's available for pre-order, or available right now. You can order it right on Barnes & Noble, but it's available for pre-order on my website, Weight Loss Recipes for Bright Lines Cookbook. And that's exciting. It's getting there. It's published. It's just in the waiting land of printing, and with the COVID and all this stuff, there's still some printing delays, but it's coming. So we're going to start off with chili because it's really fun. And it's just a perfect soul-warming dinner. You know, it just kind of fills the soul, fills your belly. It's very fun. Oh, on Instagram, hi from New Zealand. Hi in New Zealand. Oh, what a beautiful country. Thank you for watching. Oh, and Aunt Patty. Hi, Aunt Patty. Hi, Amy. All right, so we're going to start this. So first, we're going to brown some hamburger. So I'm going to flip this camera around and we're going to go to my stove's top and we're going to just brown up some hamburger. So Instagram, I don't know how I'm going to turn you around, but I'll figure this out. So we're just all going to get a little turnaround. Here's Facebook. And let's get this one. So it's a little crooked, but once I flip it back around. So I'm going to take a pretty big pot because I have about 2 pounds of hamburger, because the stuff that's left over will be tacos the next couple of days. So that always goes really well with beef. But for this recipe with chili, we need some beef. So I'm going to turn my skillet on to about medium high. Let's turn some of this on. Oh, somebody's trying to call me. I am busy and I think it's a telemarketer. Isn't that just the time of day? So I have some thawed hamburger here, ground beef. So I'm just going to open it and we're going to brown this up. Now, if you are a vegetarian or vegan, or you just don't eat meat, you could skip this step and just do all beans if you want. It's up to you, but I like a little beef. It's delicious. It just gives it a really good flavor. Put this in here. You don't have to do this much meat. You could do like a pound or less because we're only going to be using so much. But this recipe I'm going to triple because there's 3 of us girls having dinner tonight, and this is what's for dinner. So I'm going to triple this recipe, and then I'll show you how to triple it also. Wash some meat off my hands. Ugh. Okay, so we're going to brown this beef just so the pink is gone. I like to use a potato masher to break it all up. I was babysitting for someone a long time ago and they used a spoon and like the hunks were really big of their meat, and I'm like, wait, that doesn't look right. I like my pieces of beef, ground beef, really small. So I'm going to crank this up to high. Little frozen in the center, but that'll cook up real nice. You could use ground turkey if you're not a beef fan. You could use ground chicken with this chili recipe because all the flavors in it will just kind of take on the yummy meat. So in New Zealand, is it very cold there this time of year? compared to the Americas in Minnesota. Turn this fan on. So if you've never browned beef before, you just kind of want to break everything up and you want to just kind of evenly cook everything. You don't want really big hunks. You don't even need to oil your pan, just put the beef right in there. Let's see what you're saying. Don't know how Facebook Live have to get back to work. Can I watch this later too? Great news, Samantha. Even though you have to get back to work, after this video is finished, you can go back and it'll be posted later, and then you can watch it again and again. You can fast forward it, you can rewind it, you can pause it. So once this video is finished today, yes, you can definitely go back and watch it. I'll be posting it on my website. It'll be on my Facebook page. So you won't miss out. You can still find the chili recipe then. Watching from Texas. Hi from Texas. Hi, Kathy. My air fryer friend. It's so fun. And I hope you're getting all the tweaks and stuff with the chickpea dumpling soup. It definitely is a persnickety kind of soup. Sometimes it's just those chickpea dumplings just don't want to stick together. But I saw some ladies posting some really good ideas with how to make the chickpea dumplings stick together in that comment, so that's exciting. And that helps me too. Because, you know, you try something and then you make it again and it doesn't turn out the way you think, but it still can be good. Getting all the big hunks to be little hunks. Because the center of my beef was just a little frozen. Samantha, enjoy your recipes from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Hi from Canada. We're like neighbors. Minnesota and Canada, we're neighbors. So fun having you here in my kitchen with me. Did I mention I love cooking with you guys? It's just so fun to have fellow foodies in my kitchen with me. All right, we're almost nice and browned. Just make sure we don't want any pink spots. So fun, guys. Okay, I think, oh, just a couple little pink pieces. Don't want that in chili. And I think we're good. I'm just going to turn this on low and just kind of let it simmer while we finish the rest of our, putting the rest of our chili together. So that'll just make sure everything's nice and cooked. All right, so we're going to flip back around. You guys ready for a ride? Here we go. We'll move Instagram first. Whee! Okay. There we go. And watching from Queensland, Australia. Oh, so fun having you here. Oh, sorry, Instagram. There we go. Move this over. When all together, will this simmer on stove for a while? Let me look out, Patty. Let's see. I have the simmer for 45 minutes. So it will simmer for a while. So if you could, that would be hard to measure the meat, but you could make it work if you want to just put the meat in with the soup and let it cook that way, but I don't know how that works. I like to cook my meat before and then add it in after. Okay, So now that we have our ground beef browned, oh, Amy, hi Amy on the recipe page, so fun. So now we're gonna dice and chop our garlic, onions, peppers, and celery. So here I have pepper, or this is not a pepper, this is an onion. I have onions, peppers, just green peppers work. You could use colored peppers, but for this recipe I'm gonna use green peppers. So I'm gonna grab a cutting board here and a knife. Is it just me or does every kitchen have like a favorite knife? This is my favorite knife in my kitchen. I don't know why. You just always have one that you really like. Debbie, hello from Southern Illinois. So fun having you from Illinois. I think that's pretty close to Illinois. See, my geography is not very good, but I know where some things are. All right, so I'm gonna wash these peppers because they're from the store and just germs in general. So, wait. I wash my fruit in just straight white vinegar. That really kills germs, and then I rinse it off. I usually just have 2 bowls on my counters because, you know, we eat so much vegetables and you like to have them fresh. Then I just have a bowl of vinegar and a bowl of fresh water here, and then I just wash them both in there. Okay, so I have a giant pot here because I'm multiplying this recipe times 3. So I'm going to put this on my scale, and as I'm chopping my vegetables, I'm just going to put them in my pot, and then it'll just kind of keep adding up because this little scale stays on for 4 minutes. So hopefully it doesn't take me longer than 4 minutes between chopping and not having it move or anything. Because when you add weight, or when you touch it or something, it starts the timer of the 4 minutes over. So hopefully it doesn't turn off in the middle. Closer to Kentucky and southern Missouri. Okay, that's really cool. Let's see. Kentucky's below Minnesota. So we're somewhere around each other in the world. You know, small world. Okay, so I'm going to chop these peppers. You don't want the seeds or the vein in it. You just want the nice green stuff. I like to chop them upside down. I saw a cooking video. It's just fun to see all these little videos. There's always cooking videos on Facebook and stuff. And they chopped it from upside down. And it just was like so easy to get the seeds and stuff out. So I kind of like to do that. And then you just have this whole center part, which you don't want to eat. This part's not good. Then you just have that all left. Just a little trick. So we want our peppers kind of small pieces. If you just think of like general chili, we've probably all had a chili before at some time, or like a goulashy soup. So you want your pieces kind of small. So we're just going to add these to our pot. And we want 14 ounces total of all our vegetables. Hi Natalie, finally here live from Napa Vine in Washington State. Hooray! So fun having you. Recipes, Blee 59.5 on Instagram. So fun having you watching. Thanks for joining. It's like a Blee cooking party in my kitchen. It's so fun. So we're going to keep chopping. I think I'm going to do about 2 peppers. So there's different ways you can multiply a recipe. Either you do the math and you figure out how many pounds, how many ounces per each thing. So let's say 14 ounces total. You'd multiply that times 3 and then figure out how many ounces, how many pounds. Or what I like to do is once it hits 14, zero the scale. Then I start the next 14 ounces because I'm multiplying it times 3 because I want this for 3 meals. So then I'm going to do that twice. So right now I'm at 6. So I'm going to do a little bit of each vegetable in here. We want lots of yummy things. Or if you're making it for yourself or you just want 1 meal, just do it up to 14 ounces. So you're probably not going to use a whole green pepper or whole onion. You could, depending on, oh, that's my favorite vegetable, use the whole green pepper. Linda Steele. Oh, Linda! So fun having you, Linda. You are like the sweetest person I know, and you're so cute. Megan, hello from Toronto. So fun having you here. If you all don't know Linda, you have to look her up on any of the Blee Facebook groups because she is the sweetest person. She's always so encouraging to everyone I see. It is so sweet. And it's so fun having you with, Linda. Okay, so we want to peel our onion. Don't want the hours. So I'm going to be adventurous because usually onions make me cry a lot because they're just so smelly. But I don't want to go over there because then I got to turn everything around. So I have found that if you chop your onion by your exhaust fan, it takes away the fumes and then you don't cry as much. But it's way over there and I'm way over here. So we're just going to chop this really quick, throw it in and count it. Woohoo, you're so, oh, no, Linda, you're cuter. I could play this game all day. Okay, anyways, so I'm just going to chop that little tip off. There's something funky about this onion, just right here. We don't want it. So I'm going to dice this onion because we want it pretty small. I'll show you another trick. I watch all these cooking videos. Already starting to cry. This is a strong onion. This food is just so good. Makes me cry. So I found a trick. If you kind of chop your onion, can you all see this? Like this. Then, so you see I have chop lines this way. Then we're going to flip it and do chop lines this way. Don't chop all the way through. So see, we're making crisscross. So I'll show, see all those cut lines now? And I'll show Instagram, see all those? So then you just, here's my pot right here. Diced onion. There you go. And maybe I won't cry as much. Then you just kind of chop it. Don't chop your fingers. It's usually my goal in cooking is not to chop my fingers off. Oh, that is a strong onion. My favorite are the sweet Vidalia onions, or sweet onions, Vidalia onions, whatever they're called. I'm crying. This is my Oscar moment. I'm just so happy to be here. I just want to thank all the little people. Whew. Let me grab a tissue. Ugh, my eyes. We get real here. Ugh. It's just so smelly. This is just such a wonderful moment here. Oh my goodness, that is the strongest onion. I'm going to stir the beef real quick while I'm sobbing. Okay, so my eyes are still watering, but we're okay. Maybe it's because I have onions on my finger. And I'm putting my fingers by my face. Woo! Still crying. Should have just went by the exhaust fan, but that's okay. If we're gonna be cooking and it's gonna be an adventure, let's do it together. Okay, I think my eyes are just watering. It's all good. You never know. Okay, I think I'm good. That's one way to clear the sinuses. If I can read. Run the onion under cold water, then you won't tear so much. That's really good advice. Thank you so much for telling me. Oh, I'm going to remember that one. There was one time it was for church, long time ago, I was making a huge stuffing with all the bread and stuff, and I had so many onions, it was so strong, my eyes burned for days, and I think that kind of messed up my system a little bit, so now onions are really sensitive to my eyeballs. I was complaining, can't even read your comment because I'm just crying. Maybe I'll just open a window. There we go. Get some airflow in here. Just take a moment of silence, a moment of prayer, you know. Crying. Let's cry together. Oscar moment. Oh, if you're going to be in pain, at least laugh about it. Okay, what were you saying now? I was complaining about onions the other day, and a friend suggested that I put it in the microwave for 30 seconds and then chop. It's comment's just so beautiful. I'm crying even more. And that makes it more tolerable. I haven't tried it yet though. Okay, I'm gonna try these the next time I chop an onion. Amy, I touched my eyes when I was peeling an onion at my Aunt Michelle's house. Don't touch your eyes when peeling an onion. I did it once. I was chopping a jalapeno pepper. Days later, I went like that. And did you know that your eyeball can literally feel hot? It can. So don't touch your eyes for like a week after chopping jalapeno peppers. Some people wear goggles. You think my dad does? Maybe he does. Okay. Thankfully, our scale has not turned off yet. Okay. We are done with onion. We have enough onion. So we're going to do some more pepper. Whew. I think I'm good. I'm just crying a little bit. Tears of joy. There you go, Sherry. Tears of joy. I'm just so happy to be here. Whew. You know, the one day you put makeup on and you just cry it all off online for everyone to see. It's so fun. Makes life an adventure, right? I'm still crying. Like my eyes are still watering. But it's all good. You guys are worth it. We're just cry together. Okay, so we got 14 ounces. Zero this scale. So that's 14 ounces for one person. Now, oh, we want celery too. Okay, so I'm going to finish just that last little bit of pepper. So now I'm going to get my celery out. Celery does not make me cry. Celery's my friend. Onion, I love you, but you make me cry. So, funny thing about celery, you know, we cut off all this green stuff. You can actually eat that, but for right now, I don't want to put that in my chili. Always wash your celery. Celery is like one of the dirtiest foods I have ever seen. You wash it and like that water is almost brown by the time you're done. So happy about celery. Okay, if I have any like crazy makeup lines on my face, y'all are going to be my friends and let me know, right? Okay, I think the cry fest is over. So now we're going to chop our celery, and we want it pretty small. Nice and washed, nice and clean. So now we're on our second round of 14 ounces. Well, that'll clean your sinuses. If you have any problems, just chop an onion. Okay, so now we're at 5. So we want a little bit more celery. I really like celery. I just really like all vegetables in general. I used to hate tomatoes, but ever since Blee, like I would try them every year because my dad has a nice big garden, and I would try tomatoes every year. I couldn't stand them. I like salsa, I like marinara sauce, but just tomatoes by themselves, yeah, I didn't like it. Until Blee. Until starting this way of eating, and this is the first year that I've liked tomatoes. Like I can eat them plain, and they're so good. And then I remember when we started this way of eating, I saw a statistic or I saw a fact that said that your taste buds change every 2 weeks. So if you think, oh, I don't like certain foods, wait 2 weeks and try them again. Because you never know. You might like them now. My sister used to hate colored peppers, or just any peppers. She didn't like it. She didn't like onions. But now, especially raw, she just didn't like that crunch. And I used to kind of be that way as a kid too. But I started to like them before we started this way of eating. But now she eats peppers. She likes onions. She'll eat some of them raw. She likes peppers raw. So it is definitely a growing and learning process. Okay, so we're at about 8 ounces with this stuff. I want to add another onion, but I don't want to add another onion. So I think we're good on onions. So now we're going to add a can of crushed tomatoes. So you can either like get a can of crushed tomatoes. That's just a cat meowing outside. I have some outside cats. Anyways, but I had a leftover can because I made some creamy tomato soup, and then I had a leftover can of fire roasted tomatoes. So you could use this, you could use fresh tomatoes. I have some fresh tomatoes, and I'm going to use some of those in here too. But for this, I'm going to use some of these tomatoes, and again, we want to get to 14 ounces, and then zero it, and then we have 14 ounces more. 14, 0. Add the rest of this. Tomatoes are really heavy, so you don't get too much. All right, so we're at 7. I'm going to grab a fresh tomato here. Ooh, not that one. Fresh tomato doesn't make you cry. Hello from Toronto, Toronto, Canada. Hi, sweetie. Sweetie Coutinho Curtis. Can't pronounce your name, but that's okay. Welcome. Thanks for joining. All right, so we're going to chop our tomato. We're going to dice it because we don't want too big of pieces. Now, when you're doing raw vegetables, they will shrink a little when you cook. So I'm going to do 1 extra ounce because that's split up between the 3 meals. We'll kind of do it for how they shrink and stuff while you're cooking. That's one thing that I've done in the past. Or just do whatever gives you peace. If you want to do just the 14 ounces of raw vegetables, but they do shrink when you cook them. So for me, a quantities person where I like food and I like a lot of it at times, this is like the best way of eating. But for me, that can do crazy things to my brain. Like saying, oh, well, you didn't get enough and that shrunk and blah, blah, blah. So you need more food. And then you better go back up and try something else. So that's why I like to cook my beef so that I know it's exactly 2 ounces or however we're using. So we're going to add 1 extra ounce of vegetable for shrinking. So we're at 7. So we're going to do 15 for this one. Smaller. 13. This is all stuck together. 14. 15. Perfect. 0 our scale. So we have all our vegetables. So now we need to do some garlic. 3 cloves of garlic. So since I'm multiplying this times 3, it's 3, 6, 9. Doing some math, you know, it's good for our brain. Diana. My hero, love your recipes. Oh, thank you, Diana. You are so sweet. You know what? These recipes, they just they're very fun. It's so fun. And then just knowing that, so you kind of think of it like you color a picture as a kid, and then you're like, oh, well, what do I do with this now? And there's no really purpose to it, so there's no motivation. Well, I kind of have a purpose now because I love sharing my recipes with you guys. It is so fun. So now it kind of motivates me to, ooh, let's try something new in the kitchen. And I just really like variety. I'm a little bit of a variety junkie where I'm like, ooh, let's try something new today. But you guys, you really motivate me to keep going and keep trying new things and then making new books and putting them together for you. It's so fun. And then when you all post about, oh my gosh, I love this recipe or it's my favorite, that just makes my heart smile all the time. My mom says whenever I'm on my phone, because then I check messages and stuff on my phone, she's like, oh guys, look at Natalie's face. If she's smiling, she's probably messaging somebody or commenting on something or reading something. And it's usually true. It's usually from you guys. I'm like, oh, that is so amazing. And it's so nice of you to post and share your recipes with me. Some of you have messaged me and been like, oh, I made this. It was so good. And it's so sweet of you to think of me and share those with me. All right, we're just cracking our garlic. I know there's probably cooler ways of cracking garlic and getting the outer stuff off. And there's tools for it. But I don't want to clean the tools and I don't want to find them and get them out. So sometimes if you just squeeze them really hard, then that whole outer peeling just pops right off. But these garlic today don't want to be very helpful. Okay, so we're at 4. Can you really have too much garlic? I don't think so. To me, garlic, you could just stick a whole clove in something and it would be good. Recipe says 3. I say 50, you know. Okay, so we have 4. I freeze my peeled and quartered onions in my freezer for 5 minutes. It freezes the onion juices, and doesn't make your eyes water. That is clever. I gotta remember that one. And then Sherry, can I make this with just canned tomatoes, or do I have to add fresh tomatoes with? You can definitely just make this with canned tomatoes. I just did it because I didn't want to open a whole nother can of tomatoes, because I had that can and it was a big can and I didn't want it to rot in the fridge. So I'm like, yay, I can use that. And then I have a ton of fresh tomatoes from my garden. Then I'm like, ooh, I got to use those too. So that's why I did a mixture. But the original recipe from my volume 8 is just canned tomatoes. All right, so we have enough garlic because this one's pretty big. So we're just going to chop that up nice and small. Watch your fingers. Don't chop your fingers. You know a recipe is good when you chop a little finger, a little blood, sweat, and tears in all your recipes. I got the tears, but I don't want to chop my finger. Okay, so we have our garlic. Adding this to our pot. See what Diane said. Oh, that's the same thing. Definitely no such thing as too much garlic. Thank you, Linda. There is not. Okay, so we added our garlic, onion, pepper, celery to our pot. Okay, so we were supposed to just do the tomato or the onion in here and saute it a little bit, but since our celery and stuff is raw, we're just going to saute that in with it. That won't hurt the recipe at all. So if you did what I did, you're actually supposed to chop everything separate, then add them in a little at a bit. But I didn't do that. I just added it all to my pot, and it'll all buff up. So we are going to add a bay leaf. I have a bay leaf. Add onion, bay leaf, cumin, and oregano. So we're going to add 2 of these. Because when you triple a recipe, that doesn't always mean to triple all the spices, because that can get too much. I made this one time before, and I tripled the spices thinking, oh, I'm going to triple the spices. It was way too spicy. My mom and sister, they were like, I can't eat this. It's too spicy. So it doesn't always mean to triple all the spices. You just kind of got to use your judgment with that. Okay, so we got our bay leaf. So now we want 1 teaspoon of cumin. So I'm going to do 2 teaspoons for this triple. I'm just going to do 2. Because, I mean, cumin isn't spicy, so that really won't hurt you. 1 teaspoon, 2 teaspoons. Then we want to add oregano. 2 tablespoons oregano. So a tablespoon of oregano is about a big pinch. So I'm just going to do 4 pinches. 3, 4. Because again, I'm tripling this recipe. So the original recipe would be 2 tablespoons oregano. Then we're going to do some salt and pepper. Now there is such thing as too much salt, but I really like salt. Especially pink Himalayan sea salt is my favorite. Then we're going to do some pepper. Where's my pepper? Here's my pepper. Oh. There is such thing as too much pepper. That can get spicy. And I'm not that big of a pepper fan, so if you really like pepper, keep going. Do as much pepper as you want. That's kind of to taste. Okay, we added it to a large pot, so now we're going to bring this pot over to the oven and we're going to saute it a little bit. And then, so I was supposed to do just the onions. I was supposed to do just the onions and the seasonings. I didn't do that, so we're just going to saute all of this. But if you were going to do it by the recipe, you do just the onions and the seasonings. Then you'd saute it a little bit. Then you would add your pepper, celery, broth, and browned beef. So we're going to put this, I'm just going to put this over there, put it on about medium-high heat. Just stir it just a little bit and let it cook. Because we're going to come back here and then we're going to weigh our broth and beef. So I'm going to bring the beef over because it's all nice and brown. So I'm going to just throw this on my stove. medium-high heat. Give it a little stir. Okay, I'm gonna bring my beef over. So here's our browned beef, nice and brown. Then I'm gonna grab a big bowl. One of these. This, I don't even know where we got this bowl, but I like it because of this pour spout, because when you do the broth, that can get everywhere. So I'm gonna just put this on my scale. We're gonna zero the scale. So we're gonna do our beef first. So the recipe calls for 2 ounces ground beef, but I'm tripling the recipe, so I'm gonna do 2, 4, 6. I'm gonna add 6 ounces of beef. So my scale is at 0. Make sure to zero the scale before you add things on. I've done that where you add things and you're like, oh no, I forgot to zero the scale. So there's 2, 4, 6.4. We want just 6. Okay, there's 6 ounces. Zero the scale again. Then we're going to do 4 ounces vegetable broth. Now you can do up to 8 ounces as a free condiment, but we're just going to do 4. So 4 times 3, so we want 4, 8, 12. So we want 12 ounces. This is a 2-pound vegetable broth that I already had open. I had used it for a different soup, for the tomato soup that I had the tomatoes left over for. It's kind of fun to just use leftovers. So we want 12 ounces of broth. I guess chicken broth is also a condiment, up to 8 ounces, so whichever one you have. For some reason, I thought that chicken broth, you counted it as something, but I was wrong. I looked it up again today on the support page. So we added our browned beef. So the recipe was, you add, after you saute the onions, then you add the peppers and celery, broth and brown beef, and then you simmer 5 minutes. Then you add the tomatoes, but we're just adding it all together because this might actually be good because I had raw tomatoes, so that might make it a little bit softer. So that's sauteing, so I'm going to stir that just a little bit. It's not like sizzling yet, and we want it kind of sizzle and saute because we want those onions to get nice and soft. So I'm going to give it a little stir. So we're going to let that saute just a little bit. I'm going to clean this up, and then while we're waiting for that to saute, we can start on our Java bark. Just clean up our area. It makes it easier to cook when your area is clean, because we don't want garlic and tomatoes in our Java bark. That just does not taste good. And I think we're done with this. Yep, we are done with this. So I'm going to set this to the side. And I'm going to wash the tomato off my fingers. Okay. So while we are waiting for that to saute, it's starting to smoke. So I'm going to pour this in my pot, and then I'm going to leave it on. I'm going to turn it down to about medium-high heat. So mine goes up to 8, the number, so I'm going to do it about a 6. And let this simmer. I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes. So we're going to let this simmer in with that, get all the nice juices mixed together. Then I'm going to stir it up. Okay, now while that is simmering for about 5 minutes, let's start on our Java bark. Because this is one of my favorite recipes also. It was so good that I'm like, this is so good, I gotta let you guys in on this recipe early. So we want a bowl, because we're gonna mix everything in here. So we're going to need Greek yogurt. Let me grab a spoon. We're going to zero our scale, and then we're going to add, so first we're going to do our banana because we're going to mash that first. So let me grab a banana. I have some banana left over from lunch, so I'm going to use that. You could just put the banana in whole because we're going to mash it up. 2.1, I need a little bit more. I saw someone had commented on one of the recipes of somebody had posted it. And they're like, oh man, I feel like I'm eating so much banana. But you know what? That's okay. But I've been eating bananas probably at least one a day. Probably more than that. And hasn't stalled my weight loss. It's been going along just fine. I have not seen bananas on anything where that can stall weight loss. So there's nothing wrong with having bananas at almost every meal. I might do that. But bananas are so good, right? Okay, so we want 3 ounces. We want 6 ounces banana. Do we want to put it all in together? Yes, we want to do all of our banana in here. So we want 6 ounces. 5, 5.7, 0.8. Just need a little more nugget. 6. Isn't that the worst? Like you do 6 ounces, then you have just like this little nugget left. Ugh. Sometimes I'll be like, hey boys, you want to bite a banana? And they're usually up for it. All right, so I'm going to grab a fork. That is my favorite tool to mash things with. And we're just going to mash this 6 ounces bananas. Get it all nice and smushed. While our chili is simmering. Squish, squish. Oh, I hear it simmering. It's a good sign. Okay, we want our banana nice and mashed. So we're mashing 6 ounces banana. Then we're going to add 6 ounces yogurt. My favorite is plain Greek yogurt, and the whole milk Greek yogurt is so much better than just plain Greek yogurt. It's so creamy. My favorite is the stuff you get at Aldi's. It has like a red top. I don't even know what brand, but it's whole milk, and that's my favorite. So we're going to do 6 ounces. And to me, it doesn't have like that funky sour taste. I use Greek yogurt for like everything. I use it for sour cream. I use it for sweet stuff, savory stuff. I use it for everything. My pot is boiling, so I'm going to go stir that real quick and let it keep simmering. Ooh, it smells so good. Okay, so that's still simmering. Debbie, I weigh the leftover and put it in a freezer bag with the weight listed. That is genius. I gotta try that. Yeah, if you don't have like some people who aren't doing blee in your house where you're like, here, eat this. That is a fabulous idea because you can use frozen banana instead of just plain banana in any recipe. That is genius, Debbie. Okay, so we added our yogurt. Now we're going to add a pinch of salt to our Java bark. Always add salt to sweet things. It brings out more of the sweetness. Because you might be thinking, ew, salt in banana, salt in something sweet. It's so good. It brings it to like next level deliciousness. So we added that. Now we're going to add, how much almond extract? We're going to add a splash of almond extract. Let me grab mine. Oh, that's not almond. Where is it? I know I have almond extract. Well, I can't find my almond extract, so we're going to use... Oh! And there's our chili. So we're going to pause on this, and we are going to add our chili powder and beans. So we're just going to turn the pot down, just let it simmer there just a little bit longer. I mean, that's not going to hurt anything. We're going to get back to our chili. So Java bark, pause. So now we want to add our chili powder and beans. So I'm going to 0 the scale. Now you can use any kind of beans you want. This recipe called for kidney beans, chickpeas, and black beans. I didn't have any kidney beans, so we're going to do some lentils, black beans, and chickpeas. But again, you could use any beans that you like. My favorite is these because they have the pop tops. Those are really nice. Don't have to get the... So I'm going to use a fork because I don't want the juices. I just want the beans. So I'm going to do 3 ounces of each of these because the recipe for 1 serving, it would be 3 ounces total of these. But since I'm tripling the recipe, I'm going to do 3 ounces of each one. So we're going to add lentils. I probably could have just strained this and then did it, but it's kind of fun to use a fork. So we're at 2.4, 2.8, 3. Perfect. Then we're going to do the same thing with our chickpeas. Now chickpeas, you might want to save the juice from this because some recipes call for the aquafaba, which is just the juice in the can. It acts like an egg. And then whipped, it acts like an egg white. So you can add that to like certain recipes like falafels or even the chickpea dumplings, and that might give it a little bit more sticking together. It makes them want to be friends. Okay, so you want 3 ounces of this, 2.8, 2.9, 3. Then, oh, it's not a pop top. Okay, so I'm going to open this can of beans. Then I'm going to 0 this scale. We're going to do our last 3 ounces of this. But if you were making this a single serving, you could do just 1 ounce of each. Or if you like black beans more than chickpeas, or you like the kidney beans more than the other beans, you could do just all that kind of bean. But usually chili, there's many different kinds. Maureen, how much chili powder, please? Okay, yes, we're done with our beans. Now we're going to put our chili powder in this. So the recipe calls for 1 tablespoon chili powder. So I'm going to do a little bit less than 3 tablespoons because I don't want it too spicy for the girls. If you like a little spice, you could do more than a tablespoon. So I think I'm going to do just 1 tablespoon and a half because I don't want to spice them out like I did the last time. They asked me today because I told them, oh, I'm making chili for supper. They're like, oh no, is it going to be too spicy? And I said, no, I promise I will cut back on the seasonings. But if I were making this for myself, I would do a whole tablespoon of chili powder. Okay, so we added our chili powder and beans. So we're going to add this to our pot that's simmering right now, and then we're going to bring it to a boil. So I'm just going to pour this in, and then we'll come back. Give it a little stir, get all our flavors mixed in together. Make sure our bay leaves are nice and in the juice so they'll mix in with everything. Now I'm going to turn this on high, and then we're going to bring it to a boil. So I turn my pot on high. We're going to bring it to a boil. Hello from Norway. Christine, hi from Norway. Welcome. So we're going to let that bring to a boil. Then we're going to reduce the heat to low, and then we're going to simmer 45 minutes. So while that's simmering, then we'll make our java bark and our other stuff. Because, I mean, it doesn't have to, since it's not raw meat, you wouldn't have to simmer it for a whole 45 minutes, but it will get the vegetables nice and soft and nice and like combined, and you'll get that beautiful chili flavor. You could do this in a crock pot. Instant Pot, I have no clue. I don't have an Instant Pot. I don't know how to use that. But you could do this in a crock pot and let it simmer like all day. Brown your beef, weigh everything, put it in, and then just kind of let it simmer. Get all the juices. You could do that. So it's boiling, so I'm going to reduce the heat, set the timer for 45 minutes, and then we will continue with our bark and stuff. Turn it to low, 45. Give it a little stir. And let it do its magic. Now you could stir it once in a great while, but it should be okay because it's on low. Okay, so back to our Java bark. So we were just about to add our almond extract, but I can't find mine. It's somewhere. I usually have it in my little cupboard, but I can't find it. So we're just going to do a little maple extract. You could do just a splash of vanilla extract or just skip it altogether. It's up to you. So, Java bark. So now we're going to mix this. This is my banana fork. So we're going to mix our yogurt and our 6 ounces banana. So it's 6 ounces banana, 6 ounces yogurt, pinch of salt, and almond extract. Couldn't find mine, so maple extract. Anything that you would think would taste good in like coffee would be good in this recipe. Okay, look at that. When you add banana and like Greek yogurt, it gets like custardy. Isn't that just beautiful? This is like a parfait right here. This is just perfectness. Some people are like, oh, I don't like Greek yogurt. Have you ever tried it with banana mashed in? If you don't like Greek yogurt, try it with banana mashed in. Oh, so good. It's like a custard. Okay, so now we're going to move this. We're going to get, this is like my favorite plate to use for almond bark or for yogurt bark because it's nice and thick. And then I stick this whole plate in the freezer with my bark on top because then it stays nice and frozen. And since it's so thick, then as I'm eating my other almond bark, or not almond bark, yogurt bark, this keeps the rest frozen so it's not all like melty and goopy by the time I get to it. So that's just my favorite thing. Pick a really thick plate, or you could do this on a pan. So I'm going to grab a piece of wax paper. You could use parchment paper also, maybe even tin foil. I haven't tried the tin foil. We're going to just set that right on our plate. Well, you can't see. Let me back up a little bit. Gotta get in on this party. So here's our paper. I just set it right on top. So now I'm going to grab one of these little spatulas, and then we're just going to put this mixture. Just make sure before I go ahead, and then I'm like, oh no. Yes, pour yogurt mixture onto wax paper. We're going to pour all of this on our wax paper. I'll move it back so you can see. Can you see that? Okay. Scoop it all on. Have any of you tried the Java bark recipe? I had posted it on my Facebook page, my Instagram page, the recipe page. Posted it everywhere because I'm like, you guys have to try this. I saw some of you had tried it. But if you haven't, it's so good. I had a lot of people say, oh, I don't like coffee. Skip the instant coffee. Don't put that on at all. You don't have to do that, and it'll still taste delicious. So I'm going to spread this mixture nice and thin because that'll make it nice and breakable in the morning. Spread it thin. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to sprinkle this with instant coffee and chai spice. If you don't have a chai spice or you can't find it in the store, I have a recipe on my Pinterest page how to make your own chai spice blend. I just had to make another one because I finally used up my last one. So this is just, it's a mixture of seasonings. I don't really remember. It's kind of like pumpkin spice, but it has cardamom in it, and it's a little bit different blend than pumpkin spice. So we're just going to sprinkle this on top. Can you use too much spice? Probably. But just, you can do it to taste. If you're like, oh, I'm not really a fan of chai spice, don't do very much. You could do cinnamon. You could do just cinnamon and nutmeg. Okay, we're going to get the instant coffee. I think someone's at my house. Oh, I think it's just my brother. Okay, then we're going to... Someone's at my house. I don't know who that was, but somebody was just in my house, and they probably think I'm crazy talking to myself. This is an adventurous time cooking today, guys. I don't know who that was. Anyways, Beth, I like making my own chai spice because I can lower how much clove is in it that way. Beth, apple pie spice blend works too. Me too. Clove is not my favorite, so I like to kind of do a little less clove in things also. But that's great. Yeah, I like to make my own. If you don't want to look up my recipe, you can just look up chai spice blend, and it's pretty easy. So we're just going to sprinkle with instant coffee. And this is the part where this is to your taste. How much instant coffee you like. You don't have to use any. If you don't like instant coffee, you could do cinnamon. You could do apple pie spice. You could do nutmeg. Whatever your tastes like. Okay, so we did that. Now, we're going to do another pinch of salt just on top. It just kind of gives it that sweet and salty thing. You don't have to do the salt. Let's see. Then we're going to drizzle with peanut butter. Now my peanut butter is not really drizzly. Kathy, you're so funny. You know, there used to be a day where people would come to your house and they'd call your phone and you'd be like, oh, I'm so happy to answer the door or answer the phone. And now you're like, wait, nobody texted me telling me they're calling me, or nobody texted me and said they're coming over. Who's at my door? I'm not answering that. It's the days we live in, you know. And I'm doing live, so I can't leave you guys. You're my company. I don't know who's at my house. Anyways, they left. My front window's open, so they're probably hearing me talking to myself, and then they can't, like, they knock, or they come to the door, nobody comes to the door, so, oops. Anyways, so now we're going to do our peanut butter drizzle on top. So, you can either drizzle your peanut butter on top, or what we're gonna do, because my peanut butter is not very drizzly, it's kind of the hunky stuff on the bottom, is I'm going to take this same bowl, because who wants to do all the dishes? So I'm going to take the same bowl, and we're going to crush our shredded wheat and mix it with our peanut butter, but you could just drizzle it on top. Stranger danger. Exactly, it's stranger danger. You can microwave the peanut butter and it will drizzle. Should I try that? Should we try that? Let's do it. Let's microwave the peanut butter. I'm just going to put the whole jar in, because it's kind of, see, it's like it's the end of it. It's not the fun stuff on top where it's nice and drizzly. I'm gonna do this. Let's experiment together. I'm gonna do it like 15 seconds because you can cook peanut butter too much. So we're gonna do 15 seconds and maybe it'll be drizzly because I really want to drizzle it on top. It's so pretty. Even though it's really yummy with the crushed shredded wheat also. That's really good too. Make sure we get every little bit of our yogurt. Alright. 15 might not have been enough. I'm going to grab another fork. Ooh, it is a little softer. Let's do another 15. Experimenting together. Okay. While that's doing that, I'm going to stir the chili, because you just want to stir it once in a great while, just so it doesn't, like, totally burn to the bottom. You know what? That person probably smelt the chili, and it was so good that they're like, what are you cooking? I'm just going to come over, because stranger danger. Diane, I have found that my peanut butter, which is an all-natural peanut butter, actually gets thicker when it's mixed with water or yogurt or anything else. Diane, I don't mix it with anything. The natural oil keeps it drizzly. That's usually what happens with my peanut butter, is the natural oil keeps it drizzly. Then you get to the bottom and then it's all crunchy or like chunky. Yeah, it's still kind of chunky. So I'm going to mix it with my shredded wheat because then you can kind of really get in there and mix it in there. Now would be great a time to use the microwave pot holder I made you and gifted you. It would be. I have to show you. Maureen sent me this. It is the coolest thing. It is. So let's say you're putting your oatmeal in the microwave and then you burn your fingertips. That is the worst, taking it out. I have nails, so usually I just kind of grab it by my nails and bring it out. But you can put your bowl in here. It's a little cozy. She made this for me. She made this for me. That was the sweetest thing. And then you put this whole thing in your microwave and you cook it. Uh-oh. Okay. So my Instagram live ended, so I'm going to start another one on there. So we don't lose Linda. Oh, I have to give it a title. Let's get cooking. Post. Okay. Linda, I'm sorry. Instagram only lets you go an hour, and then it's like, oh, surprise, you can't keep going with your live video. Okay. Oh, we're now live. But yes, Maureen gave me this. That was so sweet of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Maureen. So now I won't burn my little fingers. My fingers are saved. But my peanut butter does not want to drizzle, so we are going to use the shredded wheat method. So we are going to do a 1/2 ounce of peanut butter. See how it was all hunky? Okay, so we have a 1/2 ounce. Then I'm going to crush 1 ounce of shredded wheat. I got this shredded wheat. It's wheat and bran. It's not as crunchy as like the normal shredded wheat, but it's still compliant because it's just wheat grain or whole grain wheat and then wheat bran and then something added to preserve freshness. I don't know. But there's no sugar, no flour. So, but it's just not as crunchy as just the original shredded wheat. So I don't think I would get it again. So I'm going to take these. This is where you get your frustration out during the day. And I'm going to crush 1 whole ounce in with the peanut butter. And I'm using the same bowl that has the yogurt, just a little bit of residue, because it's all going in the same place. And it's all going to taste yummy. And there's no egg, so we're going to crush this all up so you won't get salmonella or food poisoning or anything. You actually get a lot of shredded wheat when you crunch it up. Oops. And I mean, you can have it big hunks, small hunks, it's up to you. 7, 8. Get a couple more point ounces. 9. Maybe like 2 more little wheats. 1 ounce. Okay, then we're going to mix this up. I'm going to use my hands because then you can really get in with that peanut butter and really get it smushed in there and coating all the yummy shredded wheat. So it's kind of like peanut butter wheat. Nice and warm from microwaving it, so that's kind of nice, even though it didn't get it drizzly. But maybe it's because I put the whole jar in. I like to do where I add the peanut butter, then you add just a splash of hot water, and then you mix it till it's like completely smooth. And then you can add another splash, and then mix it until it's completely smooth. And you just keep going with that. You can add a lot of water that way and have it super drizzly. But usually, because I get the organic peanut butter, usually the top has a lot of oil that hasn't been, or not like a lot of oil, but it separates, so then it's nice and drizzly for a while, and then you get to the bottom. Okay, so we have our nice mixture. Kind of reminds me of when you used to make Rice Krispie bars as a kid. And then, so here's our crumbly peanut butter mixture. See if you can see that. Can you see that? I'll show Instagram also. Okay, so we're just going to sprinkle this on top of our Java bark. What I liked when I did drizzle the peanut butter is I liked putting the cereal on top of that because I place another piece of wax paper on top. Then that top wax paper doesn't take all your peanut butter away with it when you peel it off. So that's why I would put the cereal on top of the drizzled peanut butter. So we're just going to kind of gently press some of this in so it gets stuck to it. Okay, so now, get all of it off my fingers. Now we're going to take another piece of wax paper and put it on top. And then you just pop this in the freezer. Freeze it like 4 to 6 hours, depending on your freezer, depending on when you made this. But you could do it 4 to 6 hours or overnight. I like to do it overnight because then I know it's like frozen. Then there is a trick getting it off your plate. You kind of have to pull this up and get it to pop off the plate. Otherwise, your wax paper can rip, but it does come off. You could eat it with a fork if you want, just break it up. Then you would break it up, and then you get to eat it. And then your fingers do get a little frozen, but it's worth it. It's so good. Marie, I use sun butter. It's pretty thin. Should I still use warm water to thin out the nut butter? You could use warm water to thin out the nut butter, or you could use your sun butter. I bet that would be delicious too. Yeah, mix it up. Try different things. If your peanut butter is too thick, you could do it where you mix it with the shredded wheat, or you could do the water method, or you could try, like Beth suggested, or someone suggested where you microwave the peanut butter. You could try that. But my favorite is you take this, just do a splash of hot water. I have like a water cooler, so I just do like a splash, and you mix that because it kind of breaks down the peanut butter. Because if it's still chunky, then when you add more water, it will not combine. So you got to make sure it's like completely combined, completely smooth. Then you can add another splash and just repeat doing that till it gets to your desired drizzliness. Okay, so I'm going to set this to the side because this you'd pop in the freezer, do it overnight. This is breakfast tomorrow. So excited. I was going to make this a couple days before I was going to do the live video, and I'm like, no, I'm going to make it during the live and then I can have it then. Because I could have had it like 5 times. But I thought, okay, I'm going to wait. Because I'm a variety junkie. So, I mean, I have it twice, and then I'm like, what's on to the next thing? So I'm like, okay, I'll wait and I'll have this later. So I'm really excited. Thank you guys for suggesting to make the jumbo bark. I'll show you up close what it looks like. Doesn't that? You get to eat so much for breakfast. This takes like a half an hour to eat this thing. It's great. And it goes really nice with the hot coffee. Because once your mouth kind of gets all frozen, then you take a sip of hot coffee, and then it kind of cleanses your palate, and then you get to dive in again. So awesome. I make my breakfast, then I go sit in my bed, and I read my Bible, and I drink my coffee, and I have my breakfast. Favorite time of the day. Okay, I'm going to set this to the side. I'll put it in the freezer later. So now, brand new recipe. I just tried it last night, and then I had it for breakfast today. It was so good. So it's pumpkin. I'm kind of on a pumpkin kick right now because I opened a big can, so everything's pumpkin. I had pumpkin for lunch. I had pumpkin for breakfast. I had pumpkin yesterday for lunch and breakfast, so it's kind of a pumpkin kick, but I like it. It's so fun. Okay, so we're going to use the same bowl because it's cleaned out. Everything's out of it, and we're going to kind of do sort of the same process, but this time we're going to use a popsicle mold. Now, you could use the plate with the wax paper. You could do it that way. But I'm going to use my little popsicle molds I got at Walmart for like 50 cents. I really like them. I used it today and then I washed it. Or my dad washed it, thank you. And then it has these things pop out. So it kind of looks like this. You could probably find these on Amazon or online or maybe even at the dollar store. They're pretty easy to find. So we're going to make, while our chili is still cooking, because it takes a while, we're going to make pumpkin latte swirl pops. They're so good. Kathy, you're making me hungry. I'm sorry, Kathy. Okay, so last night I was like scrolling through Instagram, and that's where I see all my delicious recipes. You guys share so many of these. So fun. And it was after dinner, right before bed, and I'm like, oh, fake hunger is not a good time to be looking at recipes and stuff. So that's why I like doing these cooking things at 2:30. After lunch, I'm nice and full from lunch, and then it's early enough where it's not right before supper, so I'm not really hungry. For me, anyways. Thank you for sharing your delicious recipe, Natalie. Oh, you're welcome, Marie. Thank you for watching. I mean, if you guys didn't watch, this wouldn't be worth it to do it, because you guys are my friends, and I love cooking in the kitchen with you. Okay, so back to our pumpkin latte swirl pops. So we're going to do 3 ounces banana. So I have this little banana hunk left. So we're going to put that in. And then I'm going to get a little bit more banana because we need 3 ounces. We go through bananas in this house like water because there's 5 of us adults, and we all like bananas, and we all like cooking with bananas, so we eat a lot of bananas. But that's okay, because at least they're not like super expensive fruit, right? And they're just so good. Oh, not 3.1, we want 3 exactly. 3. Okay, I'm gonna grab my pumpkin, I'm gonna stir the chili once, and then I'm gonna grab the pumpkin, I have it in the fridge. Maureen, thank you for your videos. Oh, thank you, Maureen. You guys are so sweet. Okay, so I'm gonna stir the chili, grab the pumpkin, and then we'll meet back here in like 2 seconds. Ooh, everything's getting nice and soft and chili colored. Okay, I have to show you it. So this is what it looks like so far. Doesn't that just look like delicious chili? I'll show Instagram. This is what it looks like so far. So it's got a little more cooking to do because you could just kind of tell everything's getting softer. Okay, grab my pumpkin. Okay, so this is just canned pumpkin. You can get organic pumpkin. I try to eat organic as much as I can because you just do the best you can. Noreen Savage, hi Noreen, thanks for joining. If you didn't know, Noreen has been doing Zoom videos and she interviews people and it's really fun. So check out those Zoom videos. I think you have to sign up to get in it or something. Not exactly sure. But yeah, join her live videos. They're very fun. It's very inspiring to hear other stories about where their journey to freedom started. Okay, so we have our pumpkin. This is just leftover canned pumpkin. Don't get the, what do they call that, pie filling, because that will have other ingredients. You want to look at the ingredients and it should say just pumpkin. You could use raw roasted pumpkin, but it's not going to be as flavorful and as like custardy as pumpkin is. Does that make sense? It's going to be a little bit more watery, but you could use that, and then I would up the spices just to make sure that it really tastes good then. Noreen said they have a live tonight. It's like live day today. There was another page that's doing a live, then I was doing a live, then Noreen's doing a live, so it's like live Facebook day. It's so fun. So we're going to add 3 ounces pumpkin. 4. Just a little bit more. Okay, then we're going to mash this up with our banana. So banana and pumpkin, we're going to mash this up. This is your swirl that goes on top. Squish, squish, squish. Who needs a gym where you can squish bananas? Okay. To me, I love hearing like other people's journey on their journey to freedom, because it just re-inspires you and it refuels you thinking, hey, if they can do it, I can do it. Or they have overcome this, this, and this. I haven't had it that hard. I can do this. Noreen did a wall. Anyway, so we're going to then mix. We're going to add our remaining seasonings. So I put together, where did I put it? I made a pumpkin spice. It's just a seasoned blend. You could just buy pumpkin spice, or you can make your own. Just Google it, pumpkin pie spice. So I'm going to grab that, and we're going to use that in our pumpkin. So instead of, you could do, I did it where I did a pinch of allspice and ginger and a ½ teaspoon of cinnamon and nutmeg. So you could do that, but I'm going to use this pumpkin pie spice. I'm going to use ½ teaspoon. And like a big rounded teaspoon. It doesn't have to be perfect. You do it to your taste. If you want more seasoning, do more seasoning. Okay, we're gonna do a pinch of salt. Whoops. We're gonna do a pinch of salt. Always add salt to sweet. And then we're gonna mix this. Let's see. So we got our seasoning, banana, and we're gonna mix it. You could do just cinnamon. You could just do cinnamon and nutmeg. So whatever seasonings you like to add to pumpkin-y things, it doesn't have to be this seasoning. You could do the chai spice blend. That's really yummy too. Okay, so we're gonna set this to the side. We're gonna take another bowl. Oh, Beth said she loves success stories too. Right? They're just so, yeah, if they could do it, I can do it. It just fuels you again. Okay, so now we're going to do 6 ounces yogurt. This is 3/4 of our protein. This is for breakfast again. This will be my breakfast. Not tomorrow, but the next day, or vice versa with the Java bark. Even though it was freezing cold today, having a popsicle was definitely worth it. I'm like, I will be cold for this, it's worth it. So then we're going to do a 1/2 ounce of peanut butter, which is okay to have like chunkier peanut butter because we're gonna mix it in with our yogurt. So we want 1/2 ounce. 0.4. I forgot to zero the scale, but that's okay because it was at 6. So that's 0.5. So now zero the scale. Then we're going to do a 1/2 teaspoon of instant coffee. Now again, you could leave out the instant coffee if you're not a coffee fan, and it would still taste delish. Then we are going to mix this mixture. Where did I put my fork? Here's my fork. It's in my pumpkin mixture. But we can use it because it's all going to kind of be swirled together anyway, so it's okay if you get some pumpkin in with your yogurt mixture. Yogurt, coffee, peanut buttery goodness. So if your peanut butter is a little thick, you can kind of like mash it with the fork. Beth, peanut butter, banana, pumpkin. I know, it sounds a little crazy, right? And then to add coffee with that? But just think of like a peanut butter latte or like a pumpkin latte. It was surprisingly really good. And peanut butter is surprisingly really good with pumpkin. I thought that is crazy. I had a pumpkin parfait for lunch today. It was yummy. And I drizzled peanut butter on top. That was like the star of the show. It was just a little bit of peanut butter, but just that creaminess with the pumpkin, the custardy pumpkin. It was just good. So peanut butter and pumpkin do mix. And banana goes with anything and everything. So here's our peanut butter mixture with our coffee and peanut butter and yogurt. So we are going to, I'm going to remove these little things from my molds here. And I'm going to scoop 1/3 of this peanut butter mixture into each one because we want these little things to sit on top because then we're going to put our pumpkin mixture on top. So I'm going to use my spatula to get all that stuff off. So we want about 1/3 in each one. Now it doesn't have to be perfect. If you don't get exactly thirds, you could weigh it if you want to be exact. And this recipe, you get to eat all 3 of these for breakfast. I had all 3 for breakfast. It was great. Again, I'm a quantities person, so I like foods to look big and feel big. I don't know why. It's just how my brain is wired. Everybody's brain is different. So you just kind of want to divide it into each one. And again, you could use the plate with the wax paper. Just spread this peanut butter mixture thin. And get all of our yogurt out. Okay. So then we're just going to kind of spread it in our popsicle mold so it's kind of everywhere. Doesn't have to be exactly perfect because if you have some pumpkin on the bottom, that's okay because we're going to swirl it a little bit. So I'm just going to kind of lightly spread it around. Scrape it off. We'll use this again. Okay, so it kind of looks like this. So now I'm going to put my mold, or the little handle things, back on top. They probably have a legit name, but I'm just gonna call them Handle Things. Where is the chili? I wanna see it. We'll see it in a minute. It's simmering. I can hear it and I can smell it. My house smells like fall. It's amazing. Beth, I would love to see how those look when they are frozen. I posted a picture today. It's on my Facebook page, Weight Loss Recipes Cookbook. You can see there, I posted my breakfast right there, and it shows what these look like in the morning. They were really good. And they pop right out. It's a little bit of a softer plastic, so I kind of like really, you know how you do an ice cube tray and you like crack it? I kind of do that with these. I like push it and make it, and then they just pop right out. So for me, they work really nice. I don't oil it or do any lining or anything in here. So now we're going to take our pumpkin mixture, and we are going to put a third in each one of our popsicle molds on top. I know this sounds crazy, but it tastes crazy amazing. And it's kind of fun having the peanut butter mixture on the bottom because that froze a little harder than the pumpkin mixture on top. So it was fun having the different textures with the breakfast. That's just one thing I noticed. And then usually the last popsicle is the better because the last popsicle tastes the best because it's a little bit melty. But they were all really good. So I'm going to get all of our pumpkin mixture. No pumpkin left behind. This is serious business cooking. Okay, so we have all of that. So now we're going to kind of just spread our pumpkin mixture on top so it's nice and even because we still have one more thing to put on top here. And then you're going to kind of, you could either take a fork or take a spoon or even a toothpick and just kind of like push it through. So you kind of get your pumpkin and peanut butter mixed just a little bit. That's the swirl part. Just kind of get it all in the nooks and crannies. You can even like chop it a little bit to get it a little bit mixed. This is where you can be fancy. Feel like you're a cake decorator, cupcake decorator or something, or a chef. Okay, so we have it nice and spread and a little bit poked through because you want it just a little bit mixed. Scrape this off. This one has the least pumpkin-y stuff. Okay. So we have that nice, I'll show you what they look like so far. Here's all the pumpkin on top. So now I'm going to put this on my scale. My scale turned off. So we're going to put it back on the scale. Then we are going to sprinkle our popsicles with just a little bit more instant coffee. Just a tish. You wouldn't have to do this. You could just have the pops as is. This is just what I did, and it was really good. It kind of dissolves into the pumpkin. And I don't know, instant coffee does not taste like coffee to me. To me, it tastes like, it just gives it a really nice, mellow, I don't know, it just gives it a really good flavor. So I'm going to do, instead of cinnamon, I'm going to do a little bit of chai spice. Instead of the cinnamon. Just a little bit on top here. You could use more pumpkin spice if you like pumpkin spice, or just cinnamon, whatever you like. Susan Grace, hi Susan. Susan was the nicest person. She gifted me these Pioneer Woman set. It was so nice of you. Thank you, Susan. Okay, so we have that. Now we're going to zero our scale again because we did add some seasonings and that does add a little weight. And now we're going to crush 1 ounce of shredded wheat on top. If you don't have shredded wheat, oats work really good. Just uncooked oats. You could toast your oats, but uncooked oats work also. I think those are my 2 favorite foods to crush on top and freeze on things. To me, the shredded wheat keeps its crunchiness. The puff kamut gets a little soggy. It doesn't taste bad, but it just gets a little, I don't know, just a little chewy for me. Not too bad, but my favorite is the shredded wheat. You're so welcome. Oh, it was really sweet of you. You guys, you don't have to send me gifts, but that was just so nice. Maureen sends me the bowl cozy. Susan sends me the so beautiful set of baking ware. That was just so thoughtful to even think of me to do that. I mean, I don't expect anything like that, and you guys are just so sweet. So we are only at 5 ounces here, so we get a lot of shredded wheat on top. Crush, crush. And again, then after we're done with this, then you would freeze either 4 to 6 hours, or to make sure that they're really frozen because they're a little bit thick, you could do it overnight. I'm going to do it overnight, or maybe even over till the next day. So there's not really, oh no, I did it overnight, or I did it 2 days and now it's bad. No, you can leave it in there for a couple days. You could even like batch make these, or these aren't really cooking, but you could batch make these and then have them during the week because they're in the freezer. They're not going to get bad. Now this popsicle mold, since it doesn't have anything on top, it will take on some of the flavors of like what's in your freezer. I have a lot of dill in my freezer right now, so I'm like, why do these slightly taste like pickles? Just barely just a hint of it, and that's what it was. So these I would probably eat right away, and the Java bark, you could, since it's covered, you could wait longer with that. So that's just another little helpful hint if you get your pops out and then they taste like pickles. Whatever's in your freezer, these will take on the taste. So I'm just going to kind of gently press the shredded wheat in. So then in the morning when I pick up my pops, then all my shredded wheat doesn't fall off. Just gently press. We have our 1 ounce shredded wheat. They kind of look like prickly pops because they're in cactus shapes. There's something about cute shapes. Here's what these look like. Woo! Losing my shredded wheat. So here they are. This is what they look like. Let me show Instagram. And that's it for our pumpkin pops. So this is your full breakfast. You get to eat all of these, all 3. And the Java bark, you get to eat that whole plate of Java bark just for yourself. And it takes like half an hour to eat. It is the best. So let's get back to our chili. So let me see. It's got 8 minutes left. So I think that's about long enough. You could go even longer than 45 minutes depending on how soft you want your vegetables or how tender you want your vegetables. We're just going to go with this right now. So then we're going to remove our bay leaf, and then you would top it with how much? We get a full fat still. So you could top it with avocado. You could top it with 2 ounces ricotta cheese. You could top it with sour cream. You could top it with just regular shredded cheese, an ounce for your fat. Whatever you like on chili, you can top it with that because you get a whole fat left. So all our protein is in there, all our vegetable is in there. So I'm going to grab 3 containers and I'm going to show you how you divide this out because we did multiply this times 3. So now I'm going to show you how then I divide it by all 3 of us girls so then we get our right amount of food. So I'm going to just grab 3 containers and we have our spoon. Guys, ready for a ride? I'm going to turn you around. Let me go around here first and then you can see what we're doing. Whee! I'll turn Instagram around. Okay, so you guys can see it's a little crooked. I don't know why it gets crooked. Let me tilt this up. It's a little better. Okay, so let's check on our chili. Oh yes, this looks so good. I could have probably used a smaller pot, but then again, you never know when you triple a recipe how much is going to be in there. So let me show you this. Here's our yummy chili. Oh, it's just steaming. I'll show Instagram. So now we're going to remove our bay leaves. So this is a time where it's good to remember how many bay leaves you put in there. So we put 2. So I'm just going to take them out, just put them there. And then you throw these away. This one broke a little bit, but that's okay. So then what I do, because this is multiplied times 3, but I only want 1 serving. So I'm going to take 3 containers. And then I'm just going to, I've done this where I take all 3 of our scales, because we each have our own scale. And then you would weigh it and make sure that they weigh even. Let's do that, because then I can show you how I do that. Because it's really clever. So this is my mom's sister. My sister, her OXO scale broke, so she got one like mine, but she got it in red. I actually surprised her and I got it for her. Because I'm like, you have to have your own scale. So if we're all cooking our dinners in the kitchen, you all gotta have one. Okay, so I have our 3 scales. So I'm gonna just turn them all on. Now this is the tricky part, because one does it in fourths and such, weighing it, and one does it in decimals. So you just kind of imagine this decimal would make this ounceage of what it would be. Ooh, this looks so good. Okay, so I'm going to do a scoop in each one. And then at the end, you can take a little from one and give it to the other so they come out even. Oh my, this looks so good. And it smells so good. Gotta get all of the yummy juices and meat, dividing it into each. Getting to the bottom of it. This one has the least. And this is why it's kind of good to weigh it, because you try to eyeball it and do even scoops, but it never really comes out super even. So like this one has 1 pound, 3/4 ounces. This one has 1.26. Let's just make it all 1.1, or as close to 1.1. So this one needs less, this one needs more. 1.5, that's too much. So you just kind of even them all out as much as you can. 6. There we go. That is even. So now we have chili. So you could batch cook this and make it like times 6, times 12. You could freeze this and then you have a nice meal put together. Just label it like what you would have in the morning. So like I would put a sticky note or a label or something on it where it would say side with a fat for a complete dinner. So then you know what's in the freezer. Otherwise you get to the freezer and you're like, what did I put in this? I don't remember what I put in my freezer. But this is what it looks like. So this is your whole dinner veggies and protein. Diane, my husband has decided to do this journey with me, so if I made a big pot of chili, would I measure out 6 ounces of protein for him, or do I have to make them separately? That is a good question. So what I would do is I would probably make it together, but then how like I weighed it out here, I would just give him more. So since I did 3 ounces beans, for a guy, how much beans do they get? See, I don't have any guys that do bleed, so let's see, I have my thing right on my fridge here. But men get, I think, more beans than women get. I have my thing covered. Typically for men, so men get 6 ounces meat. Oh, they still get 3 ounces, 6 ounces beans. So I would do the beans the same. I would probably do 6 ounces beans total. Then I would do, since he gets more, I would do 3, 4, 5 ounces beef. And then I would give him 2 ounces more in his dish. That's just what I would do. And then do, because do they get the same amount of vegetables? I think they get the same amount of vegetables. I don't see anything that says they get more vegetables. I think they get the same amount of vegetables. So then I would just split it up and give him 2 ounces more. That's just what I would do. But you could make them separately in separate pots. Or depending if you have somebody on maintenance. Like my guys, I'll make them like the same food, but they're not doing the program, so they don't weigh their food at all. So then I just make them a separate pot and just eyeball it. Like, oh, I'll put potatoes, I'll put rice, I'll put whatever they can have. But then I'll make for us girls. So I hope that makes sense. Everything the same but the protein. Okay, so yeah, so men still get 6 ounces beans as a total. So that's the same as women. So I would do 6 ounces beans for both of you. Then I would do 3, 4, 5 ounces beef. And then just give him 2 more ounces. That's what I would do. If you have a guy in your house that you're making for him too and he weighs his food. So that's what I would do. So thank you for cooking with me. What should I cook next? Should we do maybe like a mug cake? I made a pumpkin mug cake. Oh, it was so good. Should we do another recipe for one of my cookbooks? Do you have a favorite that you want to see? This recipe was from my volume 8 cookbook. Oh, and I have a surprise. So I had, the last time I did a cooking video, somebody was talking about like the holidays, and it's so hard having the holidays, and then everybody else is having pumpkin pie, they're having all these things, and then you don't get in on that. So I'm like, hey, you can still have pumpkin pie. We're having pumpkin pots. I have a pumpkin pie in one of my recipes. I think it's volume 2. And I have other pumpkin recipes in all of my volumes. So what I'm doing right now, hopefully with this, with the shipping delays and all that stuff, that this will be settled up soon, where like the shipping delays and printing delays will just be done with. But I'm hoping to put together a big book of just all the holiday recipes. So it would be like soup recipes, chili recipes, pumpkin recipes, carrot recipes, all like this is a holiday thing. So then it would just be one big book, and then I want to encourage you to get through the holidays and just those kind of things. So like pumpkin pie recipes, pumpkin bar recipes, carrot cake that for like, the carrot cake that I made for Easter, I had shared it on there. So that kind of stuff. So then you would have your holiday, get through the holiday book. So you don't feel like you're being left out. So as they're having pumpkin pie, you get to eat your whole pumpkin pie. Because I know that recipe, you get to eat the whole pie yourself for lunch with more food, which is the bomb, right? Who doesn't like to eat a whole pie yourself? In front of people, that's always fun. But yeah, you can have yours, and they can still have theirs, and then you still kind of feel included. You feel the festivities, that kind of stuff. So that's coming soon. I just have to do some finishing touches, change a couple things, but it's going to be more than 60 recipes. I think it was like 109, and it's through all of my volumes 1 through 8. Every single holiday recipe, I went through every single one of those and put together all the holiday recipes. So it'll be all of them. Because usually my specialty volumes are just volumes 1 through 5. This will be volumes 1 through 8 in one, just the holiday recipes. So that is coming soon. I want to get that out before like November. So that'll be the next cookbook coming once volume 8 gets here. But yes, a holiday book sounds awesome, right? Canadian Thanksgiving is on October 12th, so we would love to see pumpkin pie and savory dishes. Yes, there's like a chicken pot pie soup, the creamy tomato soup, this chili recipe. There's like a sloppy joe, there's a carrot ginger soup, there's chicken cordon bleu soup, chicken cordon bleu kale, chickpea, maybe it's not even chicken, but it's cordon bleu soup. Then there's like all the soups. I just like put in all the soups. There's a carrot apple soup. I put that in there. So just all the really like, oh, this just makes me feel cozy recipes to get you through the holidays. Because I know the holidays were hard. I started October like 10th, right before all the holidays. What do I do with these things? What do I do? How do I celebrate? How do I get in on this funness with everybody else? I didn't know what to do. So after, what is it, almost 2 years, I've put together recipes. So we have recipes now to get us through the holidays where you can still feel included and still stick to your meal plan and still stick to no sugar, no flour and feel included. So that's coming soon. Thank you for cooking with me and making chili with me and then crying with me. I know you were all crying with me too at that moment. And then stranger danger, still don't know who that is. I'm going to go check my front door. I saw them put something on my freezer and I'm like, Who are you people? It looked like a letter, so I don't know. It might have been my neighbor, but that's okay. They need to call first. Let me know who's coming. But it's always an adventure with you guys, and it's always so fun to cook with you. Oh, and just to let you know, through the month of September, every single one of my book sales, I will be donating to Operation Underground Railroad. And they fight child sex trafficking. They save these kids. They help them afterwards. They give them the care afterwards. So it's not just get them out of that and then these kids have nowhere to go. They do recovery. They have counselors. They have all that stuff. So 10% of all of my book sales through September will be donated to that program and that operation to help save our kids. Because if you haven't seen it, it's everywhere right now. All these things are coming out. So I can't sit back and just do nothing. So that's what we're doing this month to help save our kids, to help stop these things, to bring awareness, and just to do something instead of just eat. But we can do that too. We can eat and make a change at the same time. Okay, so thanks for cooking with me. Hopefully I want to do this again next Thursday, so maybe give me some ideas of like your favorite recipes, or maybe I'll just surprise you with one, or we'll have to see what we want to make. So let me know what you want to see in the comments below. And it was so fun cooking with you guys. And keep an eye out for the holiday book. It is coming. I just have to do a couple more things, but I want to get it out there as fast as I can because the holidays are upon us. Thanksgiving, the Christmas, it's just getting colder. Everybody wants soups. I want soups. So new things coming. New things are here. Yummy recipes to try. Make some chili. Send me your pictures of your food that you make. Send me the pictures if you make the pumpkin pops or the Java bark. Let me know. I love seeing all you guys do those things. It's so fun. Or just share it and tag me in it. I love that too. So thank you for cooking with me. It's so fun. I love you guys. All right. With joy, Natalie.